Hi, welcome back. I'm Jester of the Retro Stars. I'm playing through Ocarina of Time and analyzing it as we go. Today we are talking about the fulcrum of the game in a lot of ways, the fundamental tragedy of Ocarina of Time. This is the dramatic midpoint. This is where things really change for the worse, but also for the better. So we are in the Chamber of Sages. Link has just pulled up the Master Sword after attempting to stop Ganondorf and inadvertently letting Ganondorf take over the kingdom. Now, the Chamber of Sages is a weird, interesting place. As we can see, it's this disk of water that's hovering in a void, surrounded by other little pillars of water. It's at the deepest location of the sacred realm. So in some sense, it is a very non-physical, spiritual reality, right? Like, this is not really a location. This is outside of time and space in some way. But it does seem to relate to time and space in an interesting way. Here's our boy. Look at that. Just good character design. What an iconic video game character. And the moment of Link realizing that he's an adult is just really good. He's looking at his hands. He's like, what in the world is happening? Navi's just freaking out. It's so good. Dramatically, this moment is so good. Anyway, the Chamber of Sages is a purely spiritual place that has a certain relationship to the physical world. So as we can see, there are all these empty pedestals here that all will be occupied by a particular sage who corresponds to a certain element in physical reality, right? So we got the Sage of Water, we got the Sage of Fire, we got the Sage of Darkness or whatever. Rauru is the Sage of Light. The one exception might be the Sage of Spirit, but we'll talk about that. So on some level, the Chamber of Sages, being this purely spiritual place, is actually a nexus point of these different aspects of physical reality. So there's a certain relationship between the physical and the spiritual. As we talked about last time, Link does not abandon time for the sake of existing in this eternal reality. He goes back to time. I think the Chamber of Sages kind of reflects that idea by having something important to do with the physical world outside of this amorphous spiritual reality that Link is existing in. I actually think there are several nexuses. I don't know the plural of that, actually. There are several different objects serve as an important nexus for Link between different parts of the cosmos. The Triforce we can think about as like a nexus between the different created potentialities as instituted by the three golden goddesses. Right? It brings together power, wisdom, and courage. The Master Sword is a nexus between different moments in time. Whether Link pulls it up or puts it back in the stone has to, allows him to traverse across time. So Master Sword is a nexus of time. So a lot of the healing of the world that Link is going to engage in has to do with bringing like disparate parts of reality into proper harmony with each other. Okay, we have a medallion. The rest of the game, Link is going to be collecting these medallions of the different spirits. Okay, we're coming back to the Temple of Time as an adult now. We're going to see the world is looking a lot different. And we are going to talk about why that is. I am going to talk about Sheik. We're about to meet Sheik here in a second, but I want to spend some time thinking about why Link needs to grow up. Because when he does, right, like, the world has been devastated. So why does this need to happen? Narratively, the explanation that Rauru the Sage gives, right, is that Link, okay, walking away, Sheik's gonna show up. There we go. What a good introduction. Rauru says that Link is not powerful enough to defeat Ganondorf. So on the literal level, he has to grow up literally because he needs to be bigger to fight Ganondorf. On several other levels, I'll talk about just 2, maybe 2.5, which for me seems to just be 3. We'll see. Last time we talked about how the passage of time is a tragedy because it entails the experience of pain and loss that we can't escape from. So to live in time is to suffer. So on a psychological level, right, Link has to grow up because that's simply what happens. He grows up, the world is devastated. That's what it is like to experience time. On a, I guess, romantic reading, we have a representation of something like the loss of poetic inspiration, and therefore the loss of a sense of meaning and beauty in the world, right? Like this is what Wordsworth describes when he's like, when he's young, he sees beauty in all things. He sees an enchanted world, but when he grows up, he starts to lose that. So there's a sort of loss of inspiration that we will see as Link steps out into a devastated Hyrule. As a child, he explores Hyrule, and there's this sense of wonder and adventure. As we talked about, he's just playing at being a hero, and the world is full of some danger, but ultimately safe and exciting and meaningful and full of love. And, you know, these spirits that actually care about Link's well-being. Now that's not going to be the case anymore. So the enchantment has been lost. On another, I think, spiritual level, I suppose, we can think about this experience of tragedy as Link finally understanding the fact that the world is deeply wounded by something, right? Like suffering happens, the world is full of pain and sorrow and decay. And so his growing up is a metaphor for, like, I guess, coming to understand that spiritual reality. Which is important for his quest because he needs to heal the world. That's what he exists for. He's going to bring about goodness to the best of his ability. In order to do that, he actually has to understand that something in the world has gone wrong. He's confronted with the problem that he is then called to face. It's really interesting how the Temple of Time, is it darker? It looks darker to me. It looks like there's less light. Yeah, because, yeah, when you're a child, there's light streaming in through the windows. I never noticed that. That's really cool, actually. Okay, so even the Temple of Time, the Temple of Time, the place of light, right? You learn the prelude of light to warp here, has been darkened. That might be our first hint that something in the world has gone wrong. You step out here and you're like, oh, something's different. Right? You can hear the harsh wind, the sounds of crows or whatever. You can see the volcano. There's this eerie, reddish, dark light pervading the place. And when you step into Castletown, it's just empty. It's devastated. It's full of zombies. This is what the world is now. This is what Ganondorf has done to the world. He lives according to power, and he's just steamrolled everything. And let's go take a look at his castle real quick, because we can see his philosophy even in the structure of his castle. So there's the broken remains of Hyrule Castle. There's his fortress on this grand cliff face, surrounded by a moat of lava, and there's a dirty brown cast to the sky, right? Like, Ganondorf has remade the world in his image. This is a world operating according to power, with no other checks, no other concept of love or grace or wisdom or rationality. This is the Nietzschean universe. Okay. So I've talked about how Link and Zelda end up bringing about the destruction of the world. So the question is, how is it their fault? Seems like it's Ganondorf's. Well, it is Ganondorf's, right? Ganondorf is the ultimate, is the ultimate culprit here. But Link and Zelda make mistakes. And here we're going to talk about Sheik in a second as well. But the question is, what are their mistakes? And we're on our way to Kakariko Village to get an item that we need. Their mistakes are that they also are spiritually unbalanced, but in different ways. Link ends up getting the Triforce of Courage. So he represents courage. He is just, at this point, or specifically as a child. Do I want it to be night? I guess it doesn't really matter. He is pure goodwill, right? He is just doing what Zelda's telling him. He wants to bring about like goodness. He wants to heal the world. He wants to do the best that he can. He wants to be a hero and save the day. But he doesn't understand the best way to actually go about doing that, right? So he's just unmoored life, courage, love, right? Like it's a love unmoored from a proper understanding of reality. And so his idealism gets twisted, unfortunately. Okay. My here we go. My CRT is a little bit dark, so I am having slight trouble seeing in the darkness of this graveyard, but that's all right. We're not gonna fight you. Okay, Zelda's problem, we've talked about before. She's unmoored rationality, so she's fear-based hyperthinking, which is not necessarily helpful, right? It's rationality divorced from proper context, proper understanding of the, like, a poetic meaning of things rather than a purely, like, analytical one, which she seems to have. I'm going the wrong way. Okay. This is fine. Can I do this on muscle memory? I usually get hit by the fire at some point. Don't get hit by the fire. Yep. Okay, so in that sense, Link and Zelda both fail. And they both have to deal with the tragedy of meaning well, but lacking a proper understanding of things, which ends up bringing harm. So Sheik is interesting. I'm gonna refer to Sheik as a guy. Just, you know, if you know, you know. But you spoilers if you have not played this, like, 25-year-old video game. Sheik is Zelda. Sheik is Zelda in disguise. And so it's interesting, as Sheik is interacting with Link over the course of the game, we get the sense that, like, Sheik is also trying to heal the wounds of the world. Sheik is doing the best that he can to set things right. We see him interacting with Rudo, like he's trying to fight evil too. He's also sort of serving as a spiritual guide for Link, but we get the sense that they're more like equals. Sheik is a mysterious character, but as they interact, like as Link interacts with them over the course of the game, they're kind of on equal ground. I think this works really well because Link and Zelda are both having to deal with the fact that they have fallen short. Like, they misunderstood things. Their naive idealism brought about the destruction of the kingdom, and they both have to deal with that. So Sheik is Zelda's way of dealing that. Zelda has to go into hiding, because if she reveals herself, Ganondorf will just capture her, which he does at the end of the game. So Sheik is like a persona that Zelda wears to engage actively with the healing of the world. Interestingly, I do think at this point this is still an incomplete attempt to kind of properly integrate Zelda's rationality. I think, wait, do I play the Song of Time? I think yes. I've mentioned before that the Sheikah represent like esoteric knowledge. They are the retainers of the Hyrulean royal family. There's this secret race of ninjas that the royal family uses to stay in power. Okay. Oh yeah, this place. I love this music here. I want to try and get that heart piece. I might fall. Let's try it. I really haven't been collecting any of the heart pieces. I don't think we need them, but like, it's right here. There we go. Okay, so, yeah, so Sheik still doesn't have a complete understanding of things. Sheik/Zelda. Neither does Link. They're both growing in their understanding of the world as they are setting about on this quest of healing it. And that's really cool. Link is not our only protagonist here. We also have Zelda acting in the background. we're going to learn the Song of Time real quick, or not the Song of Time, Song of Storms. This will be helpful later on. Or do I have to? Yeah, okay, so he teaches it to me. Here's our cool, fun bootstrap paradox. Link needs to play this song to this guy as a child, and now the guy is going to teach it to adult Link. I love the Song of Storms. When I was a teenager, you know, on YouTube listening to like fan covers and fan orchestrated versions of Zelda songs, Song of Storms always had the best remixes and the best orchestrations and just really good. There's something about like the feeling of stepping out into a storm and just exulting in the power of nature. Whoops, that's wrong. All right, I am going to fast forward a bit as I head toward Kokiri Forest. Okay, here we are. Link is returning to his childhood home for the first time in 7 years, though he doesn't know it, and we're immediately attacked! This... Excuse me, sir? This is great, because this establishes right off the bat that this is a different place than what it used to be. It is now crawling with monsters. It is not the childhood home that where Link has grown up, right? We can see that it's just crawling with monsters, and all of the Kokiri seem to be in hiding. There's no one outside like there were. Are they in the buildings actually? No. Oh wait, yes they are. Okay, so they're hiding out inside because the place is not really the best place to be right now, outside. Okay. This matters because this is making the tragedy of the passage of time really personal. This is no longer the place Link remembers growing up. Now, when I played this game after, like, I grew up playing this game, right? I would play it with a friend of mine. We would like play Legend of Zelda on the trampoline, even when we weren't actually playing the video game. Right, I grew up with this game. It has a very fond place in my heart. I've talked about some of it. I need to remember what the correct direction is to go. Oh, yes, okay. So... wait. Nope. Whoopsie. There's a really interesting phenomenon where Ocarina of Time, like the meaning of the game, has a way of maturing with you. So as a kid, I was drawn to the enchanted world and the feeling of adventure. And I had the feeling of nostalgia even before I had the words to understand, like, what even I would be nostalgic for. But you relate to childhood Link, right? I came back to play this game after completing grad school, after, you know, going through, like, a global pandemic, after getting very, very burnt out on my undergrad right before the pandemic happened. Like, I was not doing well. I was just emotionally in a really bad place. And when I went back to play this game, I think this is right, yeah. Is it like, it's left, I think? So you have to navigate this place by memory now. We don't have Saria's music to guide us. Which way? I think it's forward. Okay. Left again? You can kind of nudge your way. I think, whoops, nope. Yep, okay. Let's try that again. Yeah, so I was not in a good place. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. It felt like I'd sort of reached a dead end. And I didn't have my Nintendo 64 with me anymore. I'd gotten rid of it, but I got a Nintendo Switch and downloaded Ocarina of Time, you know, on the online store or whatever. Okay, wait, which way? It's hard to navigate the maze while you're chatting about life or whatever. I played the game. Anyway, all that to say, I replayed the game after many years of, well, of not playing it. And I was really kind of shocked and touched to discover that it wasn't childhood Link I related to anymore. It was the post-time skip Link. The Link who suddenly had experienced the world as full of pain and suffering and, like, you know, not to be over dramatic or whatever, but a world that had been, if not disenchanted, at least one where you're more aware of the suffering and hardship of life, right? At the time, which way do I go? I think I went, okay, hold on. No, so it must be right. And anyway, at that point in my life, it was really meaningful to play this game and see Link experiencing the disenchantment of the world. And yet then enact Link's quest to heal it. Right? So the idea of, like, the spiritual quest, right? Link has to actually grow up. He has to experience the enchanted world, but then he has to also see how things in the world have gone wrong. But then the game offers hope that you can actually be, like, you can pursue good, you can be a healer. There is some sort of hope of redemption, and of, like, yeah, healing of tragic situations. Come on, okay. This section, again, is very different than what we've seen up to this point. Last time we came here, this place was full of Deku Scrubs, and now it's full of moblins? I think these are moblins. Big, buff dudes. There we go. They're quite easy if you just hookshot them. Anyway, all that to say, there's another reason that this game is really deeply important to me. Because it showed me the enchanted world as a young child. And it also showed me that there is a beauty in these narratives of redemption, that I believe is real. I don't believe that, you know, it's a made-up wish fulfillment thing. Okay. I love that I'm, like, talking about, like, psychological and spiritual healing as I'm just running around this maze, shooting a bunch of dudes in chainmail loincloths. Okay, this area is a little more complicated because wait, is he even here? Oh, neat. Okay, let's fill my bottles with fairies. And then we'll make our way to the forest temple. And we'll meet Sheik one more time before we do it. So, I love the interactions with Sheik in this game. He just shows up and recites poetry at Link that, according to the Good Blood essay that I mention often, has actual deep meaning that has to do with Link's growing up. We'll talk about that as we get there. Okay, bottles are filled. Let's come up here for for what really jump scared me as a child. Here we go. This guy. Get him. There we go. Okay. No worries. I'm gonna go ahead and equip some other items, just so I don't accidentally press C and free the fairies because we need them later. Okay, and this does have the interesting, whenever Link is an adult, it does fit with the idea of growing up, like on a phenomenological level, because you go to these areas where you were as a child and they feel smaller. And like in a very similar way to like what it actually feels like to grow up. Like if you ever go back to your, you know, childhood home or childhood school or whatever, it just feels a lot smaller. Okay. Yeah, so Sheik is talking about the flow of time, right? And this, like, hinting at the tragedy of time. The flow of time can't be stopped. Change is irreversible, it's irrevocable, it just happens. You can't do anything to stop it. But Sheik is going to teach us this song called The Minuet of Forest, which recalls us to memories of past happiness, past friendship. So this is basically a song about nostalgia. Makes sense that it's associated with the place where Link hangs out with Saria. And it fits with the idea of thinking about Kokiri Forest as the enchanted world of Link's youth. As he's playing the song, we can see the pollen drifting around in the background, in the misty green, you know, the misty green enchanted world that the forest is. Okay, Minuet of Forest. And Sheik has to be all cool and mysterious. Runs off, there we go. And as we'll see over the course of the game, Sheik's exits get more and more dramatic. I do like to think that Zelda just has a flair for the dramatic. Okay, so we need the hookshot to get up here. And let's enter. Well, it fell through the floor. Whoops. All right, I don't want to fight you. Hold on. We're gonna, that's all for today. We'll continue next time. We've talked about the tragedy that Link experiences, a bunch of fun stuff. Next time, we are going to enter the Forest Temple, and we're going to talk more about the sacred, and specifically how this temple, in particular, evokes the feeling of the sublime as part of the sacred. Let me go ahead and kill the wolf so I can actually pause. Okay. Until next time.